It's our first episode of Love Notes. It's your boy G-Mo, aka Gary, aka King of the Hustle. And
I'm Shanna, aka Shanna, aka Shanna.
And that's how we live. So we decided to go ahead and bump heads. We had a successful episode on my Crown Jewels podcast talking about love and relationships and things like that. I had an onpouring of people who were interested in hearing more about relationships. Mm-hmm. So we decided to spin it off and we created something a little bit more visual called Love Notes.
And Love Notes is basically just going to be about different things dealing in relationships, personal stuff that we've went through in relationships. Just basically a little insider view about how we think relationships go, what make relationships work, and everything in between.
Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Love Notes, we taking you to school with this. Grab your pen pads, your pens, whatever. Take some notes. Definitely subscribe, follow us, leave comments, email us, however you can get on it. We'll leave all the information below on how you can do so. But yeah, definitely jump in and give us those questions. So today's topic, if I may just jump right in, we're going to talk about long distance relationships. Now, we personally have a vast amount of knowledge about long distance relationships.
Yeah, we ourselves went through a long distance relationship, and I think people think that we have like the secret, like we have
all the cheat codes.
Yeah, we
back
we
for
have
back, AB,
right. We know what it is to make it work, and I mean, true enough, we did do it, and we went through it. So, no, by no means are we experts, but we know what worked for us. So we're going to share some of the tips and things that we think will make a long distance relationship successful. For
sure. So diving right in again. What's your opinion overall on long distance relationships?
Okay, long distance relationships, don't do it. No, seriously, it's hard. Like that. Like my first thing I'm gonna say about it is it's hard. It's not easy. It's not for everybody. It's not gonna be something that is a walk in the park. It's hard. Like that's the first thing that I would say. I would say if you don't have to do it, if there's something that you can do to not do it, maybe explore that first, but they're hard work.
They're definitely hard work, and again, I second that. Do not do it. Find you some POF. No, I'm just playing. Don't do POF ever. We do not condone POF.
You can do some Tinder,
find
right.
Your local church. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever you're looking for, find it in your hometown because it's gonna make building a relationship so much easier. Now, on the other hand, let's talk about with the long distance relationship. I feel that personally, it's hard. It's very hard work, but it can be done. We definitely did it for what, a year and a half?
A year and some change.
You know what I'm saying?
And a long year.
It's a roller coaster of a ride. But if you got a person that's good and you know, out here dating is hard. It's definitely hard. But if you got a person who worth it, man, the long distance relationship will definitely be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it can pay off. And I mean, a lot of things that people take for granted in relationships can be strengthened in a long distance relationship. And jumping right into, the whole topic, one of the things that we found that made our relationship or dating long distance was communication. We had top-notch communication. We had A1 communication.
We really did. And I mean, we used a lot of resources for communication. I mean, there was the cell phone, whether it was text messaging or calling. Mind you, we were not on the same schedule as far as work. I was more of a night shift. She was more of an early morning shift. Right. But we would do something like, man, I would get off of work and there would be a 30-minute window that I would drive home and before she was headed to sleep that we would take advantage of.
Because when I'm asleep, I'm asleep.
And it's true. Mouth open, everything is going down, big snores. It's
We're
like that.
We're not going to talk about snoring. That's for another show. But yeah, like, you have to make sacrifices to do things that you might not normally do. Like, y'all remember being in high school when you used to be talking to somebody late, phone on your ear, you sleep, half sleep, but you don't want to get off the phone. Right. You hang up first. Like, we legit did that. We did that because there was only a certain amount of time that we would be able to talk to each other, so we made the best of it.
Yeah, and definitely, like I said, it started with phone calls. We also had text messages. We also had Facebook Messenger. She's look, I'm a Samsung user, gang,
iPhone,
and she iPhone,
Apple,
boo boo. You feel me? But I mean, but even with that, you know what I mean? It's a thing of we found a way to video chat. We used the app for Facebook, you know what I'm saying? Which was a tough thing, but we did it, and we did it as much as we possibly could. There were also, what other measures did we use outside of those? It was a phone, video chat.
I think that was like a lot of texting. We did a lot of texting throughout the day, you know, just simple stuff, not necessarily long paragraphs, but just a couple lines to let you know, I'm thinking about you, I miss you, I'm looking forward to talking to you later, I hope you're having a good day. Like, all of those things go a long way. Like, they sound cheesy, they sound corny, but a lot of those things like helped us get through.
And we're speaking on the devices and the apparatuses that we did use for communication.
Ooh, apparatuses.
You know what I'm saying? The my Webster Dictionary,
right.
gang. But on some serious notes, you know, with all of the things and devices that we use to help the communication, you also have to you have to be very, very transparent when it comes to communication. So, you have to be open with your feelings, open with what's going on. You have to communicate that, you know what I mean? And that's going to pay off in the long run, because that establishes trust, which is going to help in the future. You know what I'm saying? So that we definitely had to do that. Outside of just communication, that was the travel. Now, travel is expensive, but it's necessary. So you have to figure out a way to have a travel schedule. You know all about the travel schedule.
Yes, it was hard. You know what I mean? Like, we both work full time. I'm a mom, so I had to factor all of that into my schedule. Everybody can't take time off at the same time, or weekends are usually the most expensive time to travel, but those are just the sacrifices that you have to make. So we kind of worked out a system to where we would see each other every month or every other month, and we would alternate and take turns traveling back and forth. So that may or may not work for you, but it's just something that you have to do. Like, we were in 2 different cities where driving really wasn't feasible. So we had to catch flights, to make the most of your time. So, we just had to be consistent with that, or honest if it wasn't going to be able to work. If something came up and you weren't going to be able to come in town, I wasn't going to be able to get to him, we were honest, and we just said what it was. So that was another big thing that we had. You
did with some pouting too, you know what I'm saying, in there, but
you did pout a little bit.
Yeah, but
no, I was the one who did the pouting.
But it's definitely you. If you're gonna do long distance relationships, I'm just gonna keep it factual. There's no way around budgeting for travel. Yeah. You have to do it, because
you can't just go, be on the phone.
Yeah, you can't go 2 or 3 months and not get that in. You know what I'm saying? It just can't happen. You have to touch a person, see a person. Yeah. And we did it once a month, and it worked out. Some months we didn't get it, but it was okay because we did it so much that it was understandable. So, that travel is important. That budgeting for it is important.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? And even going back to the communication, like, we had to sit down and have a conversation early on. Like, okay, I want to be with you, you want to be with me, but we know we have this distance in between us. Is this something that we're going to be able to do? Like, can you commit to being able to come in to see me every other month, or I'm coming to see you? Like, we had to sit down and talk about that. So, like, you have to sit down and talk with your mate. You have to sit down and make a plan, because if you don't, then you're doomed. It's not going to work.
Because it's all sweet in the beginning when you like, damn, she cute.
It was
you know
what
I'm saying? She feeling me, I'm feeling her. She funny, I'm funny. Right. This make me feel warm. And you be like, yeah, let's just jump into this relationship. Right. But you ain't planning. Like, okay, this can be hard. This is going to be tough. And there will be hard points. It will be roads that need to be overcame. Yeah. So it's not easy. Like, we just cakewalked into this situation. I got cussed out a couple times, and
I look like I cussed people out.
I got to go check a snap. But I got, you know what I'm saying? I got, it was some times where it did get to a point of, is this worth it?
Yeah. You're gonna question.
You're gonna feel that way
when those good movies come out and you want to go on a date on Friday night. You know what I mean? When that good concert come to town and you wanna be booed up and you wanna go and dress up and look. Yeah, all of that kind of
Holidays, birthdays, special occasions. I want to show you off to my friends, my family. And I'm guaranteeing you, unless you just have an endless bank account, you're not going to make a lot of those, not even half of those things. You're going to miss a lot of those things. And you got to figure out. Side note, I'm just going to switch gears. It's about the fight. You got to have that fight inside of you. If you're not fighting for it, because in a relationship, every day ain't romantic. You know what I'm saying? But if you're doing it with a partner that you care about, y'all establish the friendship and it's worth it, it's going to all pay off in the end. Every day not going to be romantic. Some days you're going to not want to be in that person's face.
He broke up with me almost broke up with me 3 times. But you know what I'm saying? Look at us now. We're here.
You heard them lies, how she had to clean it. But yeah. But so, you know what I'm saying? But you gotta have that fight in you. If you ain't got that fight in you, you're gonna get frustrated one time, you're gonna be out the door.
And you're gonna sway easily. Somebody gonna come to you, somebody gonna be like, oh, let me just take you out, and you don't have that fight, you don't have that drive to make this work. You're gonna be like, well, one little dinner won't hurt.
Yeah.
One little movie won't hurt. That's innocent. He all the way, he 500 miles away. That ain't nothing.
Yep.
So if you don't have it in you to do, then don't waste your time. Don't waste somebody else's time, because let's just face it, we're getting too old to be out here playing. So either get with it or do something else.
So and that's the thing too. You also got to take into consideration on how the other person feels. Something that might not be major to you, you might take it lightly. You might be like, this ain't nothing. Yeah. I'm gonna just go chill with, you know what I'm saying? You got to think about, take yourself out of that position. And if the shoe was on the other foot, how would you take it? And how would you want it presented to you? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because for instance, we're gonna cut to the next subject, but but just like I'm saying, I have female friends, you know what I'm saying, and female friends are always trouble for a man in a relationship.
Always.
But if you're open up front, you're honest up front, you're able to introduce this person to who you're dating, if those people are able to become your chicks or your guys' friends, or not even friends, but at least social media friends, where they can actually be like, this is who he was talking about, then you have nothing to worry about, unless you just have an extra insecure person you're dating.
Right.
But once you go ahead and establish that communication and that respect from the jump, you have nothing to worry about for the most part. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that goes back to the drive, the trust. You got to have the trust. The trust is major, because you're not going to know where that person is every night. You're not going to know what they're doing. If they say, I'm going to the club with my homeboy, you just got to trust that that's where they're going. I'm too old to be staying up let me lurk on his page and see if I can find, did it really go? I go to bed at 9:30. I don't even have lurking. I can't even lurk. I go to sleep too early to lurk. So I just have to trust that you're doing what you say you're doing.
And my thing, my younger day, I lurked a couple times and got some shit that I didn't want to see. So I just rather not know. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't looking for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. We playing the honesty system, honesty policy.
Absolutely.
So it is what it is. But all of that stuff is all important. And one of the biggest important things I'm gonna say with long distance, you have to come up with a timeline of when we're ending long distance. So, and I personally say this, we actually exceeded my deadline. My deadline for long distance is relocating. Someone is relocating to the other city 6 months to a year. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's an obtainable goal, considering that most people probably are renting. You can end your lease, you know what I'm saying? You can end the school year if you have children, or if you're in school or whatever. That's an obtainable goal to me. That doesn't work for everybody, but I feel like
for us. We did not relocate within 6 months. It wasn't even a year. It was closer to the 1.5 year mark before we actually made it to the same city. And it was hard. That was a hard conversation to have. And it was several conversations that we had to have. But those are just things that's what you have to do if you're serious about this. I knew this was the person I wanted to be with. I knew we would eventually be married, so I just had to figure it out. I was the one who relocated, and it was major. It was big. I had been in my job for over 10 years. I had a daughter. All my family was back home, but this was that important to me that I made that change.
And speaking of, I'm just gonna kind of segue into something else that's way off the subject. We're doing love notes. Not only can we talk about long distance relationships and we're dating, we're engaged. And I don't think we mentioned that in the beginning, but I put the ring on it, and that definitely was a swaying factor when it comes to getting a person to relocate.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because ladies, we know that we need somebody to be serious. Like, I don't want to move 600, 500 miles away from my security blanket, my comfort, where I am, to just be your girlfriend indefinitely. You know what I mean? Like, I need to know that we are headed down the same path. So when a guy wants you, he's going to come after you, like, no matter what. So,
and ladies, let me also tell you, when a guy wants you, there's nothing that can stop him but you. I'm just gonna be real. Yep. There's no other man in his way. There's no other situations in his way. There's no baby mama. There's no kids. There's nothing that can stand in the man's way when he wants you. So when you making yourself extra available and you putting yourself out there and you wondering why he not striking the way you want, that's because you're not on his radar. Right. Now we're gonna say that for another show, but that's a little bit of free game real quick.
But yeah, so I mean, just to round it back, those are all the things that we dealt with. Those are the things that you will deal with. Yeah. Kind of the pros and the cons of what we think makes long distance relationships work. And like I said, we definitely are not experts, but we've done it, we've made it work. So we just trying to help some people out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we found some little loopholes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And we like to see love, black love.
And especially, I mean, we did we skipped over a little bit one little key factor that I'm gonna say that I did, and she did as well. But when we dated and we finally got in the same cities, you can't go on same dates as normal. No. You can't say, oh, let's go to the movies, let's go to Applebee's. If you know what I'm saying? We can't do that because that's little. You got to make these trips worth it. Yeah. You got to make these trips mind-blowing where, damn, I was with him or her and I saw this and we did this and that's going to be etched in my mind. And every time I think of this, I'm associated with him. Yeah. Those are the things that you want to do because those are the things that's going to pull that person to want to be with you. Absolutely. Because you're blowing their mind. Like, and that's the thing, like, dating is a lost talent. You feel me?
People don't date anymore. Like, you have to spend that time, and that shows thought. That shows that you care. The first time that I came to visit him, he picked me up at the airport with roses, a dozen roses. I wasn't expecting it. It wasn't something that I was like, he better have some flowers when I get there. But it was something that was special. We are years into our relationship, and that's something that I'm never going to forget. So you have to make all of those little necessary tweaks and step out of your comfort zone and do things that you might not typically do. Like, ladies, we need something new. We need something fresh. You got to keep it spicy. We'll save that for another show too, about things that you need to do. But
I mean, and there's some other things you ladies need to do. We need to understand that men aren't the only people dating and pursuing.
No.
You know what I'm saying? No. Women need to understand that this is just not about what he can do for you to get your attention. It's a vice versa thing because we need to feel appreciated, respected, and honored. You feel me? And so
it's definitely a two-way street. And it's not just a man's job. We definitely have to court and pursue them as well and make them feel like we want to be in their lives and we want them to be in our lives.
Just let us know that we winning. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't nobody want to keep chasing if there's no finish line. Right. So let us know that we're on the right track, that we getting there. You know what I'm saying? Be transparent, which is what has been lost inside of dating.
Yeah. So, people don't want to look like a fool. People don't want to look too soft, especially men. Men, don't want to always feel like, oh, if I do this, she gonna think I'm a sucker. If I buy this too soon, she gonna think I'm tricking. It's not even about that. No. When you are with somebody or doing this with somebody who is keeping it 100 with you, like, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, just to recap on everything, you know what I'm saying, it's very, with long distance, if you choose to go that route, remember communication is the key, keeping it spicy, everything you can talk about, you know what I mean? Yeah. Making sure that dating is important and make sure that you come up with a timeline for a relocation process.
That's right. Those are the 4 tips that we got for you, and make sure y'all keep tuning in. We're going to be dropping all types of knowledge on Love Notes and giving you the keys to success.
All right. Again, it's your boy G-Mo, Gary, a.k.a. King of the Hustle, all of that.
Shanna, just Shanna.
All right, y'all.